Here.
Board Member Bartholow. Board Member Badenfort.
Here.
Vice Chair Arnone.
Here.
Chair Galvin.
Here.
Let the record reflect all board members are present with Board Member Bartholow absent.
Very good. Item number 3 on the agenda is statements of abstention by board members. Do we have any? Hearing none. Well, we have no study session. We have no minutes to approve. We will move to our first staff briefing. Director Burke.
Thank you, Chair Galvin and members of the board. Our first staff briefing is Investing Now to Secure Our Water Future Education and Outreach Campaign. And Elise Miller, our communications coordinator, will be presenting.
Good afternoon, Chair Galvin and members of the board. As mentioned, I'm Elise Miller, Communications Coordinator for Santa Rosa Water, and I'm here today to discuss the value of water, the need to perpetually invest in our water infrastructure, and the importance of setting appropriate water and sewer rates in order to secure a reliable water future for our community. So to start, I'd like to introduce you to the Santa Rosa Water team. This is a group of professionals committed to delivering quality service and protecting Santa Rosa's water future. 24/7, 365 days out of the year, this team is monitoring, maintaining, and improving the reliability and resiliency of our public water system, while also adhering to strict regulatory requirements. And every year, this team consistently delivers billions of gallons of locally sourced drinking water to our community's taps. They collect, treat, and recycle wastewater to protect your health and the environment. And they accomplish all this as they work to safeguard our watershed and take steps towards addressing the impacts of climate change. As a public water utility, Santa Rosa Water retains no profit. Our rates reflect the true cost of operating and maintaining Santa Rosa's public water system, with all the proceeds being reinvested. These rates for service currently equate to less than 1 penny per gallon for drinking water and less than 3 cents per gallon for the collection and treatment and reuse of our wastewater. When customers pay their water and sewer bills, they're funding these essential services, key infrastructure improvements, and our team of highly trained and skilled professionals. So in an effort to highlight the services that Santa Rosa Water provides to the community on a daily basis, our team relaunched our Value of Water campaign in May to share stories about our water system, to introduce the community to the people behind the pipe, and to highlight our ongoing investments in key infrastructure that are necessary to secure a reliable water future. About 90% of our water infrastructure is underground, so by sharing this information with our community, the goal is that they'll have a better understanding of the magnitude of the essential infrastructure that connects our entire city, all 54,000 customers, to water and sewer service. This is a mostly digital campaign, leveraging our website, srcity.org/the value of water, our City Connections e-newsletter that goes out weekly, and our social media accounts to share these stories. I'm going to share a couple of examples of the posts that we've shared online as part of this campaign. We're using the tagline "always on," meaning rain or shine, our team is always on, so your water is there when you need it. On the right, we have an image of our local water operations team out in the field making a repair to our water system. Oops. Too many. We're also using the tagline "Investing Now to Secure Our Water Future." We're highlighting the strategic investments that we're making to improve the reliability of this critical water infrastructure. On the right, you'll see an image from our groundbreaking ceremony of our $68 million UV disinfection replacement project. This is a key component at our Laguna treatment plant, and on the left showing a replacement of water pipe in a neighborhood. So to view more of this campaign, I encourage you to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and I've also prepared a social media toolkit for the board that I'll share after this meeting. So why is this campaign so important? Our health, the economy, and the environment all rely on reliable water service. And Santa Rosa Water is committed to provide quality water and sewer services, but we're facing some challenges related to increasing costs, new and more stringent regulations, climate change and extreme weather, floods, fires, droughts, and rapidly aging infrastructure. So to address these challenges, we need to make some fiscally responsible investments in our water systems. Like much of the infrastructure across their state and the nation, our water system is rapidly aging. Many parts of Santa Rosa's water and sewer system, including the regional Laguna wastewater treatment plant, are well over 50 years old. And many parts of Santa Rosa's water and sewer system, and based on Santa Rosa Water's latest infrastructure report card, prepared by the city's asset management team, our water, sewer, and regional water reuse systems need some significant capital investments to ensure the reliability and resiliency. So here's our report card. This is a high-level assessment of the condition of our public water system. And for our water distribution system, it received a B grade, meaning it's adequate for now, but that additional investments of about $20 million per year are needed in order to address priority projects that would include water main replacements, seismic retrofits of our water tanks, the rehabilitation of groundwater wells, and pump station upgrades. For our sewer collection system, it received a C+, meaning it requires attention, and an additional annual investment of $29 million is needed to address priority projects that would include sewer main replacements, rehabilitation of large sewer trunk lines, and lift station upgrades. The regional water reuse system received a D+, and that includes the Laguna treatment plant, and that means it's at risk, and it needs at least an additional $15 million per year for the modernization of that infrastructure. So those priority projects include replacement of most of the major components of that treatment plant, including a $35 million upgrade to the electrical infrastructure at the plant. So to ease the financial burden on our customers, the city is working closely with our state and federal partners. For example, Santa Rosa received a $19.1 million WRDA authorization and is working to get funding appropriated for a critical sewer trunk lining project. This project is estimated to cost $77 million and would replace 9 miles of deteriorating sewer trunk line that connects the region to the Laguna wastewater treatment plant. If this trunk line were to fail, it would have catastrophic impacts on our community and the environment, but additional local investments are also needed in order to prevent breaks and service disruptions, ensure water quality, improve seismic safety, enhance our climate resiliency, protect our watershed, improve water supply reliability, and harden our infrastructure against the threat of wildfires and floods. So most of our public water systems operation and maintenance and investments in our infrastructure are paid for by water and sewer rates. And every few years, Santa Rosa Water undergoes water and sewer rate studies to ensure customers are charged, what customers are charged reflect the true cost of providing those water and sewer services. So Santa Rosa Water has contracted with an independent rate consultant to complete a cost of service study and propose water and sewer rates for 2025 through 2029. And we do not know what those proposed rates are yet, but they would take effect on July 1 from 2025 through 2029 if approved. So here is an overview of the process that we'll be taking for rate setting. The rate consultant is currently working on our water and sewer rate studies and working with an internal water rate task force made up of city staff on the data analysis. So initial information will be brought to the Board of Public Utilities Budget Subcommittee, and staff will work with the subcommittee to develop a rate recommendation. Staff will present the recommendation from the Budget Subcommittee to the full board in a study session, and then additional meetings will occur until the board has approved a rate recommendation for City Council. So staff will present the board's recommendation to City Council in a study session, and based on Council's direction, a public hearing will be scheduled for the adoption of the proposed water and sewer rates. Before the public hearing, customers will receive a Prop 218 notice in the mail with those proposed rates, and if adopted, the new rate schedule would take effect on or about July 1, 2025. So to keep our customers informed through the process, Santa Rosa Water will provide timely updates via our website, srcity.org/water rates, through our City Connection e-newsletter that goes out to over 100,000 subscribers, utilizing our water bills, social media, traditional advertising, as well as public meetings and community events. As part of our outreach to customers, we'll also share all the ways that we're able to help our customers manage their water bills. We have a customer service team that's available to answer questions and connect customers to resources. We have our Water Smart portal, which provides near real-time water usage data so customers can understand how and when they're using water. We also have our Water Smart programs. We offer free devices like high-efficiency shower heads and aerators. We have in-person Water Smart checkups where our team will provide customized water-saving recommendations for homes and businesses, as well as a variety of rebates to help our customers save water. And we have our Help to Others Water Bill Assistance Program. This program offers a discount on a water bill for income qualifying customers. So to learn more about the value of water and the rate setting process, I encourage you to visit srcity.org/the value of water. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. I'll open it up for any board member questions or comments at this point. Board Member DeWitt.
Hello. Thank you very much. My name is Dwayne, and I not really talked with you much in the past, but I think it's very important for the area that I work with that this be all available bilingually. And have you set that up so that this information that'll go out into the areas where I'm from, people will be able to get the news they need in Spanish?
Yes, all the outreach materials that we put out will be translated into Spanish.
Nice. That's kind of you. And then for this moment, because this is a bit of a new approach for me, I'm asking you, do you reach out to the commercial people, the commercial accounts, and ask them about what they're doing for conservation, what they're doing for the reuse of water? Or is it just about you folks and your recycling program?
So for our water use efficiency programs, our team focuses on both residential and commercial customers, providing those resources for water savings.
All right.
And they have done some targeted outreach to our business customers.
The reason I bring this up is I was walking over here today and over at the LaFranchi building on E. They were washing the building with potable water. And I'm thinking, hey, this is the kind of thing you can do with recycled water. And we're going to need to have a better approach in the future because we'll have more people living here, less water perhaps. Maybe you can work with the commercial communities and especially local businesses with large buildings that want to wash them to not use nice potable water. Thank you.
Board Member Wright.
Thank you for the presentation. Those scores, at least to me, were a little disturbing. But I want to clarify in my own mind, those scores are not about customer service or about delivery of goods and services, but those scores are more about aging infrastructure and investment needs. And did I get that correct?
Yeah, through the chair, Board Member Wright, yes, you are absolutely correct. The scores based on the American Society of Civil Engineers scoring criteria, which is A through F, simple report card scores, and it's about the infrastructure. It's the state of the infrastructure. It is not a reflection on operations, on staff, on anything else other than the state of the infrastructure.
Yeah, so, yeah, I just want to make that clear that we're not D+ operating system here. Thank you, that's my only comment.
Any other board member questions or comments?
Yes, thank you. To segue on what was just said, so we share a lot of water transmission infrastructure with Sonoma Water, correct?
Board Member DeWitt, we do not share infrastructure. We have our own system. It connects to Sonoma Water System, but there's a clear line of delineation at turnouts between what is Sonoma Water's infrastructure and what is Santa Rosa Water's infrastructure. And that's the same for all of their customers.
So hypothetical question, what if one of those connections begins to leak, and the leak could be substantial? How do you handle that?
Depending on whose part of the infrastructure is leaking, either Sonoma Water or Santa Rosa Water responds. And we have a lot of controls and information through our SCADA system to know when there's pressure drops or other things that might be indicating of a leak. Alarms would go off. And so we work very closely with Sonoma Water, and it's very clearly delineated depending on whose side it would be.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you again for the presentation. At this time, we'll open it up for public comment on item 6.1. If you wish to make a comment, please move to the podium. Seeing no one. Thank you again. That'll conclude item 6.1. We'll move to item 6.2. Director Burke.
Thank you, Chair Galvin and members of the board. Our second staff briefing is our 2024 wildfire preparation, and Joe Schiavone, Deputy Director of Water and Sewer Operations, is making the presentation. And please bear with Joe a little bit. He's quite under the weather, so we really appreciate him coming in today.
Thank you, Director Burke. Good afternoon, Chair Gal. Try to get this microphone close enough to me with my mask on. As mentioned by Director Burke, my name is Joe Schiavone, Deputy Director of Water and Sewer Operations, our team often referred to as the local operations team, here today to discuss some of our wildfire preparation efforts. So the 2024 fire season was officially declared as of June 10th for the city of Santa Rosa. This past year, we did see above average rainfall, which resulted in increased vegetation. Some of the good news in some ways for us, but some of the concerns with that, looking at the number of acres burned compared to last year in California. In 2023, around 325,000 acres burned. By early August of 2024, already at over 778,000 acres burned. That increased vegetation, along with several days throughout the months of both June and July of above average temperatures, accompanied by warm winds throughout our region and really throughout the state. We were seeing early fires in June. These were mainly grass fires. Those fires continued on through July, where the warm weather and wind continued, drying out some of the heavier fuels in our area right as we enter into the peak of fire season. This map shows our water pressure zones throughout our water distribution system. The large area in light blue is our aqueduct zone, or what we often refer to as Central City. And then the multicolored areas around that are our reservoir fed or tank fed zones. As I overlay the CAL FIRE high severity fire severity zone over the top of that, you can see that many of our facilities are within these high severity zones, which is why we go to great lengths for these planning efforts throughout the year. To highlight some of our concerns, damaged infrastructure, similar to what we saw in the, the 2017 fire. Denied access can be a big problem for us in these emergency situations. We've worked closely with our partners at Santa Rosa Fire to develop techniques to get our operators in early and safely, as soon as it's safely possible. And then a lot of communication back and forth to make sure that our folks are in a safe position while working in that area. We do experience communication interruptions, both from lack of power and from some of the infrastructure being damaged on the lines that run between our water pump stations and our tanks. On the interrupted power supply side, we know that PG&E will cut power for safety reasons if there is a large fire in our area. It could be outside of our service area, but we could still result in a loss of power. They will also often cut the natural gas service to these locations as well. PSPS, or the public safety power shutoffs, we've been very fortunate the last couple of years to not see many of these. We did use this as an opportunity to develop several planning tools for long-term power outages in our area. We implement those tools when we do see a fire in our area because we were seeing several days without power when these events were happening regularly. Fortunately, PG&E has made many upgrades to their system, and we see that the number of those diminishing. And then the warm weather that we're experiencing does have an impact on excessive demand, in which case PG&E will shut down portions of their grid, and this can have a big impact on our water and sewer pump and lift stations. All of these items are concern for a water and sewer service disruption that we do our best to prepare and plan ways to mitigate those concerns. A lot of that preparation starts with the training of our staff. We do have a lot of new staff on our local team, and we are helping them understand what it means to be disaster service workers for the city of Santa Rosa. Their schedule and shifts can change quickly when we go into an emergency operation. We've worked closely with our safety and training coordinators to develop effective drills to make sure our folks know how to operate safely and how to communicate and document all of the work that they're doing while we are in an emergency operation. We continue to develop and refine procedures to make us more efficient, increase safety, and improve resiliency. Items such as our refueling procedures that allow for multi-layers of refueling should we have an issue getting fuel to our area. We stockpile supplies. This is in the form of a lot of PPE or personal protective equipment, along with things like batteries, additional radios, things that our folks might need in the field, including the supply cabinets that we have in some of our remote facilities. Our ongoing efforts include infrastructure improvements. This is mainly focused on the hardening of our stations. We saw a lot of this after the 2017 fires, including things like metal or steel roofs and concrete walls. We've also taken the opportunity to, and stations were rebuilt, to move some of the key components of those stations underground to protect them from any fire that might come through in the future. We work closely with our partners at Fleet to make sure that our trucks and equipment, including the backup generators that we have and the mobile equipment, are ready to go. And then we also focus a great deal of our effort on communication. The planning portion of this includes bi-monthly water operations meetings with Sonoma Water and the Sonoma Water contractors. This is helpful, especially if we have a fire that's outside of our service area, maybe in another contractor's area. We work closely with fire, with water and fire communications, as well as a great deal of other communication that we have with Santa Rosa Fire. If there's any change in our system, or if they have information on a pending change in the weather, we work closely with them to make sure they have the right folks to contact so we can get our team there to help them as quickly as possible. Many of us in the command center attend PG&E webinars and receive the PSPS data portal updates. This is a great way for us to really understand what PG&E is focusing their efforts on throughout the year and areas of concern that they might see. A lot of information from the National Weather Service, and again, additional information directly from our partners at Santa Rosa Fire. We do focus a lot of effort on increasing our internal and external communication. On the external side to the public, should we be in a large event, there are several methods that we can use, mainly through our EOC, or our Emergency Operations Center. And on the internal side, we do know we have several capital improvement projects going on both of our systems, so we work closely with the project managers to make sure that we have a backup system and a backup plan should we enter in an emergency operation. I did want to highlight a few of our resiliency items that currently exist on our systems. We do have stationary generators at all of our water pump stations. This is a huge benefit for us. The majority, all but 3 of our sewer lift stations have a stationary generator at each facility as well. The remaining 3 have a quick connect, so we can connect a generator quickly or operate them with a trailer mounted pump. Our SCADA system is a key component of our daily operations, but also allows us to operate portions of our system remotely, as well as monitor any changes to the system and really identify problems quickly. As I mentioned, the hardening of facilities, that continues as we do really any infrastructure improvements. The radio communication piece, we just recently started have almost completed a radio upgrade for our SCADA system, which includes a radio system that has several enhanced features from what we had before, and we're exploring those options now to provide additional levels of resiliency in communicating between station and the tanks. Standardized equipment, I know we come before you often asking for standard equipment. This really does help us quite a bit. It makes it possible for us to train staff quickly on similar equipment at all the different stations that we have. And then a lot of redundancy is built in, especially to our water distribution system and the different pressure zones that we have. We do have the ability to operate these zones without the benefit of a tank, or move water from one zone to the next, or operate one zone from another zone. So a lot of redundancy that's already built in. We're very fortunate to have a fairly robust fleet of mobile equipment, including large generators that allow us to operate our water pump stations and the sewer pump stations if needed. But these are typically used on our water pump stations due to the size. Excuse me. They can be mobilized quickly. They're all set up and ready to go with quick connects for all of the stations. We also have trailer mounted pumps for our water pump stations and trailer mounted pumps for our sewer lift stations that allow us to operate these stations manually. These are a great feature and provide several layers of redundancy. And then just to touch quickly on some of the capital improvement projects that I have mentioned in the past, and I'm sure you've heard quite a bit about the controller, PLC, and radio upgrade project. This is a great project for us. All new controllers at our water pump stations and all new radios for our SCADA system. This project is nearing completion. We have all the controllers installed as well as all the radios. What we're doing now is there are several features on the new controllers and on the new radios that allow enhancements to our system. So there is some additional software and hardware upgrades, but they're providing us with additional data and better ways and more efficient ways to operate our system. The fiber optic communication piece, this has been an ongoing effort for years for Santa Rosa Water, especially on the local side. This is to connect hard lines between stations and tanks. We do lease some of these lines and are currently in the transition of moving over to city-owned pieces of infrastructure. We also put additional conduit in to allow for the opportunity to provide power to any tank that's not adjacent to a station and doesn't have a generator. And then a project that we're very proud of that's coming close to an end now, it's almost completed, is the backup generator replacement project. I believe we have 3 stations left to install the generators. The other stations have all had their generators installed. Again, that's 18 locations. And most of those generators that have been installed have all been tested and are fully functional. We just have a few of them left to complete now. This is a large project for us. It'll standardize 18 generators. It received quite a bit of hazard mitigation funding, I believe about $7.9 million to help us with that project. And we are looking forward to the completion, we hope in the next few months, hopefully by the end of this year. And I would be happy to answer any questions you may have, sorry.
Thank you, Deputy Director Schiavone. We'll open it up for board member questions, and we'll start with Vice Chair Arnone.
Thank you for the report, and thank you for being here to give it. The only question I had was, I'm really glad to hear that we were replacing all of our backup generators, and the question I have is there a maximum duration that they can be operational, or can we continually restock them with fuel needed to keep up? In other words, is there a maximum power outage duration that we can sustain and still keep operational?
So as long as we can keep them running and keep fuel to them, they can continue to operate for long periods of time. We did see that. I think the longest period of time in a PSP event was just short of a week, 6 days. We also saw long periods of time after the 2017 fire, much different situation that we are in now. It is a good question regarding the time period. Those generators, when they are installed, we weren't anticipating that we would run them that long. They were back up for a short period of time, maybe for a few days, but not every year like we were doing there during the PSPS event. So we were having several of those per year. So these new generators, it's a benefit to us in so many different ways. New generators, modern, we have the ability to fuel all of them ourselves. And as I mentioned, those refueling plans during large fires, often there can be a diversion of fuel. So a lot of benefits to our system by installing these.
Thank you.
Other board member questions or comments? Board Member Grable?
Yeah, I just had a nerdy question about double check backflow devices and how those have improved over the past few years and what our inventory is like. Is that something that has where the technology has changed and improved and we've taken advantage of that? Where does that stand these days, considering the benzene issue we had in Fountain Grove and all that? That's obviously the biggest issue we had to deal with.
So I wouldn't say that there has been a lot of improvements with those devices. They are really the best method to protect our system from backflow. Well, there are several backflow, double check is one of those. But I wouldn't say that there has been fire-based improvements for those items specifically.
Other board member questions or comments? All right, we'll open it up for public comment on item 6.2. If you wish to make a public comment, please move to the podium. Seeing none, thanks again and feel better.
Thank you all.
All right, we have one item on the consent calendar. If there are no questions, we'll ask for a motion.
We'll move to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Motion by Board Member Grable, seconded by Board Member Wright to approve the consent calendar. We'll now open it up for public comment on the consent calendar. Seeing no one rise, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Board Member Wright,
Aye.
Board Member Grable,
Aye.
Board Member DeWitt,
Yes.
Board Member Badenfort. Aye. Vice Chair Arnone,
Aye.
Chair Galvin.
Aye.
Okay, the consent calendar passes unanimously with Board Member Bartholomew absent.
Thank you. Item number 8.1 is our report item for the day. Director Burke.
Thank you, Chair Galvin and members of the board. Our report item is our annual stormwater enterprise charges manner of collection. And Claire Myers, our stormwater and creeks manager, and Katie Robinson, our research and program coordinator, will be presenting.
Thank you, Director Burke. Good afternoon, Chair Galvin and members of the board. My name is Katie Robinson. I'm a research and program coordinator with the Stormwater and Creeks section. Sorry. Is that better? Presenting with me today is Claire Myers, the Stormwater and Creeks manager. We are pleased to be here today to discuss the annual stormwater enterprise charges. As you may recall from past presentations, unlike other divisions in Santa Rosa Water, the Stormwater and Creeks team is not funded by the water enterprise. We are funded primarily by the Stormwater Enterprise Fund, sometimes referred to as a stormwater assessment. Due to the upcoming annual City Council public hearing on the collection of stormwater assessment fees, we are here today to give a brief reminder of how the Stormwater Enterprise was established, what activities it funds, and how charges are calculated and collected. The Enterprise Fund was established by Council in 1996 as a long-term funding source to comply with stormwater regulations. Specifically, the city is required under the Federal Clean Water Act to obtain and comply with a National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit and waste discharge requirements for discharges from the municipal separate storm sewer systems, also known as the NPDES permit, the stormwater permit, or MS4. To meet these requirements, the council added Title 16 to the city code in 1996, which created a stormwater enterprise and utility as an agency to the city. Doing this ensured a stable funding source to comply with permit requirements and gave the city resources to control and reduce flooding, property damage, erosion, and stormwater quality degradation in the city. The fee funds implementation of the city's stormwater permit, as well as other activities to mitigate the impacts of pollution that stormwater carries into the storm drain system and ultimately into the creeks and waterways. This includes creek restoration and stewardship, flood protection, public education, storm drain maintenance, and stormwater quality testing. It does not provide funding to evaluate or upgrade the storm drain system. Title 16 also authorizes the City Council to prescribe and collect charges for the services and facilities of the enterprise, which I will talk about next. Now that I've explained how the funding source was established, let's look at how the fees are calculated. The stormwater enterprise charges are levied against each parcel of real property in the city and are charged annually. Fees are collected using a formula outlined in Resolution 22880, which was adopted in 1996, and are based on the equivalent residential unit referred to as the ERU. The ERU considers a parcel size, the amount of impervious surface, and its land use. The ERU is adjusted each year based on the Consumer Price Index. This year, the cost per ERU is $41.32, which is also the average fee for a parcel in the city. This represents a 3.4% increase from last year, in line with the Consumer Price Index. This ERU fee was this ERU fee amount was adopted by City Council on June 18th as part of the city's budget process. The original charge in 1996 was $19, so the charge has gone up by approximately 80 cents per year, again in line with the Consumer Price Index. Charges for each parcel in town are provided on the annual Stormwater Enterprise Charge Report, which is made available to the public online and in person at the city manager's office. So how do we collect the fees? In order to simplify the payment process for property owners and minimize collection expenses, the charges are collected on the Sonoma County property tax roll on the city's behalf. As shown on the slide, the charges appear on parcel owners' property tax bills as a direct charge. The charges have been collected annually on the tax roll since they were established in 1996. Every year, Santa Rosa City Council holds a public hearing to 1, adopt the Stormwater Enterprise Charge Report that shows the amount of the fee for each parcel, 2, approve placing the charges on the county property tax roll for collection, and 3, allow the public the opportunity to protest the method of collecting the charges. The public cannot protest the fee amount that was approved during the budget process in June. Property owners may protest the placement of the Stormwater Enterprise charges on the Sonoma County tax roll by either speaking at the public hearing or submitting a written protest. If the council finds that a protest is made by a majority of the parcel owners listed in the report will not be adopted and the charges will be collected separately from the tax roll. The public hearing on the Stormwater Enterprise collection is scheduled next week on August 20th at City Council. And notices for the public hearing were published in the Press Democrat on August 5th and August 12th. And again, a hard copy of the Stormwater Enterprise Charge Report is available for review online and at the city manager's office. So with that, it is recommended by the Water Department that the board, by motion, recommend that City Council move forward with a public hearing on August 20th, 2024 to adopt by 2/3 vote the Stormwater Enterprise Charge Report and approve placement of the Stormwater Enterprise charges on the Sonoma County property tax roll to be collected by the Sonoma County Auditor, Controller, Treasurer, Tax Collector at the same time and in the same manner as Sonoma County property taxes are collected, unless those charges do not meet the county minimum of $10 and or parcel owner contact information is known to be incorrect. And thank you for your time, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Always nice to get an update on how this is going. I'll open it up now for board member questions. Vice Chair Arnone.
Thank you. Thanks for the report. Do we know how much it would cost to send out the bills any other way?
So in 2016, because of an error in the city's database, we had to send out bills for 2,000 parcels, and that cost us $27,000, which was 25% of the amount that we collected. So we sent out bills to 2,000 parcels, which amounted to $109,000 of revenue, but it cost us $25,000 to do that.
So in other words, this method saves a large amount of money. I mean, I'm just trying to quantify how much we save.
Correct. And so for the county, they charge us 0.85% of the total revenue. And so that is $26,931 this year.
Okay, thank you.
Board Member Wright, did you have a question? Any other board member questions or comments? All right, we'll open it up for public comment on item 8.1. If you wish to make a comment, please move to the podium. Seeing no one, we do need a motion.
This is a mouthful. I'll move that the Board of Public Utilities, by motion, recommend that the City Council move forward with a public hearing on August 20th, 2024, to adopt by 2/3 vote the Stormwater Enterprise Charge and approve placement of the stormwater enterprise charges on the Sonoma County property tax roll to be collected by the Sonoma County auditor, controller, treasurer, tax collector at the same time and in the same manner as the Sonoma County property taxes are collected unless those charges do not meet the county minimum of $10 and/or parcel owner contact information is known to be incorrect.
Second? Oh,
Go ahead.
second?
Okay, we have a motion by Board Member Wright, seconded by Board Member Grable. Now we'll check again to make sure there's no public comments, and seeing no one rise, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Board Member Wright,
Aye.
Board Member Grable,
Aye.
Board Member DeWitt,
Aye.
Board Member Badenfort,
Aye.
Vice Chair Arnone,
Aye.
Chair Galvin.
Aye.
Let the record reflect this item passes unanimously with Board Member Bartholow absent.
Thank you again for the presentation. Next item on the agenda is public comments on non-agenda matters. If anybody wishes to address the board, please move to the podium. Seeing no one. We have no referrals. We have no written communications. Do we have any subcommittee reports? I don't believe we do, but I'll check just in case. No? All right. Any board member reports? All right. Director's report. Director Burke.
Thank you, Chair Galvin and members of the board. I have 2 items I want to update the board on. First, I wanted to give an update on our arrearages program and the amount of money we've been able to collect from the state. So we did recently receive confirmation from the State Water Resource Control Board that the closeout for Santa Rosa Water's funding under the Water and Wastewater Arrearage Program has been successfully completed, with all compliance requirements having been met. So through this program, we were able to secure over $300 million in funding for Santa Rosa Water customers, and we actually applied those funds directly to those customer accounts to compensate for water and wastewater billing arrearages that accrued throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. So revenue to the utility, also putting the customers that we could back into a state where they weren't behind or in arrearage anymore. So that's very good news, and a big effort of work from Nick Harvey and his water billing team. So it doesn't seem like it's a lot, but it takes a lot of work behind the scenes to make these programs work. So thank you very much to Nick and his team. Second, I wanted to give an update on the Carissa Way main break, and I'm actually going to do a little show and tell, hopefully, if I can. As the board may be aware, I provided you with some information that on Friday, August 9th at 7:50 in the morning, we had a 16-inch PVC water main break on Carissa. Whoops. Okay, hold on, we're getting there. On Carissa Avenue. There's a video that I'm hoping we can show. Oh, we can't hear the volume. That's okay if the volume doesn't work. This gives you a sense of the amount of water and what it looked like when our staff arrived out on scene. As mentioned, at about 7:50 in the morning, our senior water tech was monitoring SCADA and saw alarms coming from our water pump station 9 indicating low pressure. At the same time we received the low pressure alarm, it was noticed that 2 pumps were on pumping water at a time that is highly unusual for that to be happening. Seeing that this was unusual, a supervisor was immediately notified and recognized that this was indication of a main break. These actions were taken shortly before we started to receive customer calls reporting a large leak on Carissa Way. Water crews were dispatched and arrived shortly to isolate the damaged main from the water distribution system, and the damaged main was completely isolated by 8:38 a.m., which is really an amazing response time. If you could go, once this finishes, to the next slide, that would be great. The damaged water main, I told you it was completely isolated by 8:38 a.m. We lost almost 1 million gallons due to the water main break. This 16-inch water main is the primary transmission line between Water Pump Station 9 and our 2 water tanks that feed the majority of the Bennett Valley area. However, due to the loop-fed system, water was still able to be pumped from the station to the storage tanks and supply all of our customers while repairs were being made. So while we did have a temporary disruption and low pressure to the zone, customers were pretty much in water the whole time, even during the repair. We sent multiple crews to start the repair work, to do the cleanup, to do environmental and water quality assessments. The water main was repaired by 9:30 that night, and the repaired main was flushed. Water samples were taken twice, 24 hours apart, to ensure the water was safe for consumption, and the main was returned to service on Monday morning, August 12th. Some of our customers did have a complete disruption of water service, and as such, those in the water zone that were in higher elevations did receive a boil water notice. We did consult with the State Water Resources Control Board and determined the best way that we could identify those customers that were affected, and got direction from them on how to notify those customers. Water employees hand-delivered the boil water notice to the affected customers on that Friday, and then once the water samples came back saying that the water was safe for consumption on Sunday, August 11th, water crews again were out notifying the customers that the boil water notice was rescinded. I will note that, you know, as these things occur, this was a very unusual break in sort of how it occurred, and the response that we had to do in relation to the Division of Drinking Water and State Water Resources Control Board. And so we are doing an after-action report and lessons learned on how best we can get communication out a little bit more quickly. That said, this response was amazing. And if you go to the next slide, I just want to take a moment to appreciate that this was 35 staff that were needed to come in some fashion, or be in, or come in over the weekend to lead this effort. I cannot be more proud. I cannot say enough about this team of folks that were able to keep our community in water with very little disruption. This was a huge main break. The cause appears to be improper bedding of the pipe. This was a relatively newer pipe. It was installed in 2003. We do know that the hills east of Summerfield Road are made up of very rocky materials, and so if the bedding wasn't correct, it's likely that this pipe sat on a rock, which caused the pipe to split. So again, these are all the employees on the screen in front of you. I would read all their names, but I think it's a lot more telling to show you on a slide how many people that it takes for something like this to occur. And I just really want to recognize all of the folks that participated and thank them from the bottom of my heart for everything they did to make sure that this repair was made quickly. And that is my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Director Burke? Yes, Board Member DeWitt.
Yes, through the chair. I didn't see a map that showed us right where it was. Do you have that?
I don't have a map with me in front of me today, but the map is on the website. It's on Summerfield and Carissa Way in Bennett Valley.
I get the general drift out there, but it's kind of way out in Bennett Valley. It's not close in. Thank you kindly.
I wouldn't say it's way out Bennett Valley. It's off of Summerfield Road between Hohen and Bethards. So it's in the main Bennett Valley, like Bennett Valley Heights area, just before there, Summerfield. Yeah. Okay. Any Board Member Wright?
Thank you for that little presentation. I live in that neighborhood, and of course, my wife called, and she didn't get a phone tree. She didn't get anything like that. Somebody picked up the phone and talked to her, so that was very nice. Of course, it wasn't a lot of information at that moment. She wanted instant information that isn't always available. And of course, then I had to go out there and look at it. I saw the pipe, and it was a substantial, it was like a beam, not a beam break, but a longitudinal break is what I saw. And I was impressed that our crews were able to isolate so quickly. I think she called at 8 o'clock, and by 9 o'clock or 9:30, our water was fully restored. And the other thing, the professionalism of your operators, of our operators, to do that work that quickly, and the fact that they were able to get their hands on that 16-inch piece of pipe and put it in the ground. So yes, it was an amazing response. Years ago, that could have been a many-week operation, but to have the whole thing from start to finish happen in just 12 hours or so is kudos to our crews. Thank you very much.
Board Member Badenford?
Just wanted to share my appreciation as well. I don't live in the neighborhood, but for your quick and impressive work from monitoring to resolution, but also the communications. I just happened to be at kind of a large event out in the community at the time with a lot of people from Santa Rosa, both board members and council members, all kinds of people with an interest in the city of Santa Rosa. And so your communications were very comforting and allowed us to really be good stewards and good representatives of the great work that's happening here. And so very impressive. Thank you very much.
Board Member Grable?
Yeah, I echo the comments of my colleagues, and I guess my only question would be, do we have any indication that that's an isolated bedding issue, or, in that anything we can do to know whether that bedding issue and because extremely rocky, soil top. I've built houses out there, I know. Gone through a number of excavator and backhoe buckets on projects out there. Is there any way to know whether this is an isolated fluke thing, or if it might be a pattern?
So, Board Member Grable, that's a great question. I think, if I recall correctly, I think we've had another issue out in that area in the past. So, I know the operators are getting more information. They're going to be working with our engineering team to see if there's anything that we need to address out there. If we do know something, then we'll address it. Sometimes it's just hard for us to determine what's underground and what was done during construction.
How does one do, are there like ultrasonic, the way that soils testers, they use those they're almost like a radioactive or ultrasonic density meter or whatever. Do they do that with lines where where you could walk the whole line with it? Is there anything like that where we could check?
It's a great question. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer, and I don't have any of my operations or engineering staff in at the moment, but let me get back to the crews and see, and I will get an answer out to the entire board.
Thank you. I would just extend my kudos to you and your staff as well. I happened to be literally driving on Summerfield Road, going right past Carissa when it had just started and the water was coming down the hill, and it was amazing how quickly the response was. So congratulations. Any other board member questions or comments for the director? All right, we'll open it up for public comment on item number 14. If you wish to make a comment, please move to the podium. Seeing none, that will conclude item number 14. And that will conclude our agenda for the day. So we are adjourned. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Right.